Los Ratones have just done the unthinkable. This ragtag group of ex-pro players, streamers, and up-and-coming talent just won the biggest tournament in Tier 2 League of Legends. They went blow for blow with some of the biggest teams in the scene and came out on top every single time since the knockouts. They scraped past the Turkish representative Supermassive in a nail-biting 2-1 victory before steamrolling Team Phantasmas in the semis with a dominant 3-0 sweep. But then came the finals. A high-stakes, go big or go home best of 5. The first 2 matches were a battlefield. Elder flips, 7,000 gold deficits, and even the classic boss ints. But yet, somehow, every time the Rats clawed their way to victory. This puts them 1 game away from lifting that EMEA trophy and cementing themselves as the best team outside of Tier 1 League of Legends. So Los Ratones fans, buckle up. This game's gonna be a wild one. If you don't know who Los Ratones are, you must be living under a rock. Since joining the Northern League earlier this year, they've been breaking all kinds of records. A team featuring 2 world finalists and some of the biggest personalities in the scene, all led by their mastermind coach and the face of League Esports, Cajal. In the finals, they'll be facing off against the 2nd seed of the LFL, Icy Japan Corp. This team has ex-LEC player Certius and a ton of really talented youngsters. Los Ratones for their final game pick up a double ADC comp. This comp is amazing for the late game but has a super weak early. These scaling comps have worked for them for the past 2 games in the series as they won an Elder Flip and came back from a 7,000 gold deficit. But can this comp really help them win their 3rd and final game? As every time they draft this, they have a super weak early. So to no one's surprise, the Rats bot lane is pretty rough, as Karma and Silver push them in all the time and poke them out. So in game, Prime utilises this to great effect, outplaying Crowley and getting his flash early. And IJC uses this window to invade Velia, forcing him to abandon his camps and concede them. So IJC's entire game plan is leveraging off their pushing lanes and getting Velia behind. Los Ratones tried to counter this, but they just lack any early game damage. So with Nemesis pushed in and Crowley desperately trying to help their jungler, they look on towards the Sivir, but they just don't have the damage as Sivir spell shields Velia's spear and hits his boomerang both times onto Crowley, securing him first blood. This is the worst possible start for the Rats. Even the boss is dying to this Karma, but we all know whenever the boss dies, there's always a plan with him. So with Karma top, LI use their numbers advantage bot lane to seize the opportunity to steal a blue buff, push their waves and secure themselves the first dragon, buying themselves 5 more minutes of crucial scaling as they've just denied early dragon stacking from IJC. With Karma coming down towards the bot lane, Crowny and Reckless struggle again in the game, getting constantly chunked out by the Karma Q and Sivir Q as well. They try to attempt to punish Prime, unaware of Lilia being around the corner, so Crowny is forced to flash again, but Diakax lands a perfect 2-man swirl seed, putting themselves to sleep and dismantling LR's bot lane. While the bot side crumbles, Velia heads top lane to try and secure these Void Grubs, and afterwards setting up a crucial play. The boss, per usual, is deep in the enemy territory, proxying waves between both towers, but with Crowny respawning and sprinting towards mid lane, they could set up a 3-man collapse onto mid, where the boss first of all barrels Diakax into the team, letting Velia land his spear and deal huge amounts of damage with Crowny. But the problem is, Diakax doesn't die, he survives on a sliver of HP, and the Rats plan has just failed. So now IJC can turn onto Velia. He tries to run into their jungle, but he does something amazing to escape. He leaps over the Krug wall and assassinates Diakax on his own red instead of resetting. Velia just did a 9,000 IQ moment. The only problem is, immediately after, he ints under the tower. From the highest highs to the lowest lows, never change Velia. And you know what I'll never change? Caring for League Esports. I make these videos every 2 weeks on a brand new topic, and as a small content creator who wants to make this their full-time career, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. But except for that, let's get back to the video. Los Ratones this whole series and game have done one thing amazingly well, and that's splitting the map. Every time IJC make a play, Los Ratones always have a counter for it. Let me explain. With Velia respawning, they're beginning to split the map, with IJC continuing leveraging their pressure lanes to secure towers and jungle control bot side. Earlier, they secured Rift Held, which they now can use to claim the mid tower and use this pressure to pivot towards bot side for another tower. While this is all happening, Velia and the top boss strike back, dive in Howling, who's flashless under the tower, and take top control. Even with this, IJC's plan is still going well. With the mid lane tower down, they look to steal camps again, but the Baus, with 1.5 items and a fresh kill onto Howling, starts his recall and looks to collapse onto them. Channeling TP, he finds a flank onto IJC. The Baus needs to play this slow and wait for Crowny to get there from the mid lane. So he starts off by trying to chunk down Prime to half with Nemesis, before using his Q to slow down the enemies. This puts Crowny finally in range to jump over the wall and look to flash engage. But IJC, they're just too quick. With that Sivir ultimate and Prime's RE, IJC are just not catchable. Los Ratones can't take these fights, they just don't have the damage yet, and that's because they've built their team comps to be super late game focused. Los Ratones finally realise this and they pivot towards their strengths, which is splitting the map. 3 of their members head towards top lane, killing Howling again and securing themselves another tower. Though they concede the dragon, they gain a lot of gold and helps them get to their major power spikes. Now with Crowny and Nemesis both getting their 2 items, they are finally ready to fight. And this is perfect timing as well, as both teams look to try and grab up this Atakan. This buff could completely change the pace of the game, as if Los Ratones get this, they get an XP lead from the flowers, but more importantly, any objective they take afterwards will get 25% more effective. Both teams group up in a tense 5-man standoff over this objective, trading control back and forth between them. Amidst this chaos, Diakax, the jungler, keeps taking hits from the Atakan and burns through all of his mana, which is a critical mistake. With no resources left, he's forced to retreat into his jungle to try and heal up. The main problem is, his nearest camp is the Wolves, which is super far away. IJC still think if they reset this Atakan, the Rats won't be able to do it in time, but with their 2 AD carries on 2 items, Crowny and Nemesis have the damage to kill it and shred the objective, so they start it up and finish it before Diakax gets here in time. But the fight isn't over yet. The XP is still in those flowers and they need to pick them up, so Crowny, on the Zeri, quickly tries to pick them up with the Q, while the rest of the team tries to kill Howling, which is caught out on the side lane. Winning out in this fight has just hugely turned the game into their favour, but it still isn't done yet. IJC with 3 huge damage threats still with a lot of items means that LR need to get a Baron or the Soul to finish this game. They set out on the Rift to get this Baron. With 3 items on their major carries, Los Ratones are trying to do the same thing at Atakan and burst out this objective. Anytime Diakax goes too far away, they will start it up, but this all hinges on Reckless and the ward he placed in the mid lane. If Diakax crosses this, they're going to start it. It's a race against the clock, the team comp built for speed versus a team comp built to burst objectives. Diakax is running as fast as he can, but he's just too late. Los Ratones sneak this Baron away. Los Ratones are 1 Baron push away from finishing this game. They all clump up top knowing that their comp is finally online. The bout hits a nasty casket onto Diakax, who has to go into the stasis. This gives time for the rest of the team to collapse on top of him, as Diakax flashes out, but Nemesis is on the side already shooting. IJC dreams are shattered as they're getting run down, and Cajal seems to sum this up the best with this perfect ending.
Very cooking! Take us out, this out! Is this the first battle we win on the EU Masters?
Oh
it might just be!
First EU Masters ours.
First EU Masters is ours! Don't take the end then, don't fuck with me! Months of hard work, ups and downs! Doubters be doubting!
Yeah, but you missed.
We're the best team outside the LEC!
And with that, Los Ratones are the best team outside of Tier 1 League of Legends, and it's a huge moment for them. But that is going to be it for the video. I want to say a massive thank you for watching all the way through, and make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm actually curious about how you think Los Ratones would do if they went to the LEC. For me personally, I think they're just a middle of the pack team. But it's not up to me. Put it in the comments down below. Lastly, here's a video on the right about how North America's best mid laner went to Europe.